Hello and welcome to another episode of Creature Club, and I am your host, Mikey, and with me, as usual, is Daniel.
Hello.
In this show, we talk about the monsters in the Monster Manual for the tabletop role-playing game Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. And today we will be continuing on with our series on devils. I know. And I'm kind of just a bit sleepy right now, so I'm going to take a nice, and I'm going to do kind of like calm style. It's not going to be a high energy.
Yeah.
I just want to. I want to keep this one slow and calm and stuff. But Daniel, how are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. Feeling fine. Think after we record, I might go to the gym.
Okay, sounds good.
Get a bit of exercise. Yeah, I'm picking up what you're putting down. Sort of take it easy. Sort of a slow groove.
Bit of a unscripted Creature Club. Just kind of go for it, man. But kind of scripted, I guess, because it's
unscripted as if it's ever scripted.
No, yeah, we always script it. Everyone knows that. We have like a team of writers back there.
Well, if we have a team of writers, we should definitely hire them and get better writers.
We can't afford better writers.
Why can't we afford writers at all?
I don't know, because we can't do this. Anyway, so as I said, we're doing more devils. We want to get through these big long series because we have a lot of them, and a lot of them seem to be in the D section. So we're kind of just a little bit unlucky when it comes to that. But today we are continuing on with the Chain Devil. So Daniel, what does the Chain Devil look like for our people at home?
The Chain Devil effectively looks like a nude, muscular man, but you can't see any of his naughty bits or his face because they're covered in chains.
And also, he's kind of posing in a way that you can't see his
beepus,
his privates,
his genitalia. Well, you know what? Actually, sorry. Well, their genitalia. We don't know what genitalia they have.
Exactly. Yeah.
Although they appear to be happy showing off this character's nipples, so for that reason and censorship, I would assume that they identify as male.
Yeah, I don't see nipples.
Did I just imagine nipples? I do that all the time, so that doesn't surprise me even slightly.
But I get you though, man. I get you. And also, it's the devil, so it's probably no gender to it.
Yeah, it's a sort of manifestation of evil. So they are a humanoid figure, a muscular humanoid figure, covered in chains, and they wield like armfuls of chains as their weapon. They have gone through a couple of variations. The artwork we have here in the 5th edition manual is kind of cool. It sort of gives off that like infernal vibe of like a dangerous sort of creature. That's great. Comparing it to the first ever depiction of the Chain Devil, which used to be called the kyton, back when they didn't like using the word devil because of controversies. It looks more like sort of if you got me as a teenager and I just fell into loads of bike chains, like doesn't look that scary. So so they are this sort of humanoidish chainy folk.
When was the first depiction of it then? Because you said you found a picture though. When did it first show up?
I did, yeah. So it was first described in a box set for 2nd edition called Planes of Law. Couldn't find that anywhere, but it reappeared later in a Monsters Compendium, Volume 3 of the Monsters Compendium in 2nd edition.
Okay.
Where it's described as a kyton. I don't think they ever used the term Chain Devil here, because as I say, they were trying to avoid the controversy by using those words. So they keep calling it a kyton, which is spelled Kyton. And then it's described pretty much everything we have here is what we've come to is still true by the time we reach 5th edition. It's a creature that's covered in chains. It's sort of hell's jailer. They condemn and trap souls, and they're responsible for torturing them forever. And they live in a city called Jangling Hitter, or maybe Hiter, which is on the 3rd layer of the abyss, which I think is Manaros. I'll check the book now.
In the abyss?
In the 3rd layer of Bator, which is the Hex. Oh, Manaros, I was right. Cool.
Well done.
So, anyway, so they wear and use chains as a weapon, and so there's sort of no one's quite sure what's underneath the chains, although in the 5th edition art we have a pretty clear idea that it's a red muscly person.
I can kind of picture them throwing around chains like Kratos kind of style,
Yes, I would say that that would certainly be an easy kind of touchstone now to sort of understand like what exactly it is they do during fights. So they showed up in the second edition, then again in the third edition. When they appeared in the third edition, they got their name back. They were still called the Kyton, but they were allowed to be called the Chain Devil by the time 3.5 rolled around, because obviously 2003 was such an enlightened time, so that was great. And since then it's been called the Chain Devil because they haven't needed to kind of go back to those names to avoid that controversy a second time. They've kind of moved past it. So then there's a Chain Devil in 3rd edition, 4th edition, and in 5th edition.
And that's where we are today. Not too much to go on in terms of history of it, because the history of it is the history of devils, and we've kind of talked about that quite a lot over this series.
Yeah, as far as I can tell, there isn't any, the term Kyton and the idea of a Chain Devil, neither of those are pulled from any particular myth.
Yeah.
That doesn't surprise me. I feel like a lot of the mythological devils were present in 1st edition, whereas we didn't get the Kyton until 2nd edition. Which kind of suggests that maybe like in some ways it was more to do with them thinking about maybe ideas and mechanics for the game and designing creatures around that, rather than kind of, invoking these myths and stories that we have to create things.
Apparently it shows up in Dragon Heist, but I haven't played it because I kind of don't want it spoiled for me. I haven't played it yet or ran it, but apparently it shows up. One of them shows up, or two. I have no idea. I want to play it at some point. So
that's so like I haven't read Dragon Heist either, and I wouldn't want to spoil. And our listeners might not have played it, so we don't want to spoil it for them.
Exactly. So.
I hope that's not a spoiler. I assume that a monster shows up during a series of adventures doesn't count as a spoiler.
Yeah, hopefully.
But we shall say no more of it, just in case.
So I shall give a read of what we have here in the book. This ominous fiend wears chains like a shroud. Driving lesser creatures before it with its fearsome gaze, a chain devil animates the chains that covers its body, as well as inanimate chains nearby, which sprout hooks, blades, and spikes to eviscerate enemies. Chain devils act as sadistic jailers and torturers in the infernal realms, relishing pain and living to inflict it on others. They are called on to torment mortal souls trapped in the 9 hells, inflicting their sadistic fury on the horrid lemures in which those souls manifest. I was about to sneeze there. It's not there. It's not coming. Okay, but yeah, basically.
Oh, that's awful, man. I'm sorry to hear that.
That's happened to me so many times lately. Like
something to do with the climate over there?
Maybe. I think it's like just probably hay fever. And also, actually, whenever because I work as a server. And I have to like refill sometimes the salt and pepper shakers. And whenever I do the pepper, there's always pepper in the air, and I always need to sneeze in the middle of a restaurant. But
that's so funny.
Sometimes I just like, nah, I'm fine. But anyway, forget about that. Enough of this banter. But that's kind of what you're saying, Daniel. Of it's kind of the same stuff. It's kind of like the jailers and torturers of the 9 hells, just bad boys, I guess. They kind of want to inflict pain on others, and they're the ones that basically do that. Is there much more on that? I don't think so.
No, that's correct. A lot of what they describe in that lore and what we'll see later in the stat block matches with what we have here, as I've kind of said many times before with the devils in their first description. They can control chains and that they can frighten people. There's also the idea in earlier editions that sort of, devils couldn't even be hurt by non-magic weaponry below a certain caliber, and now we obviously just have resistance, which is a simplified representation of the same idea.
Yeah. Do you want to just go straight into the stat block? We'd probably get a bit more from that, a bit more information on. So
Agreed.
let's switch over to
cool.
the next
You
section.
get piano, I'm going to turn on my light bulb.
Daniel has one of those old style light bulbs where he has to get on a bike to power it.
Yeah,
or something.
I do. I have to cycle really hard. It's great for my calves though. So
yeah, so you're just cycling right now to power this to read this block. You can't hear it because we got filters on it. So filters on the recording.
The entire thing is surrounded by soundproofing.
Yeah,
which also slows it down a lot and means I have to keep cycling.
Yeah, Daniel has like a soundproof box on his head with just him, his head, and the microphone so, that he puts on.
God, that'd be so grim. I really wouldn't enjoy that box at all.
It would be terrifying.
I'd be so warm.
Yeah,
and I wouldn't be able to hear anything. Oh, it'd be weird. I wouldn't like that.
must be so weird for like anyone coming into your room, like, "Hey, Daniel," and then just like,
"Get out!"
You're on a bike and you have a box on your head. And
I have a bike. I'm cycling on the bike. The light bulb is flickering, and I have a box on my head.
Yeah, and you can't even read the book now. This is such a weird improv section that we just come up with right now. Anyway, Chain Devil. Daniel, would you like to start it off here?
I'd love to. Chain Devil, medium fiend, devil, lawful evil, armor class 16, all natural armor, baby. Hit points 85, which is 10d8 plus 40, and a 30-foot speed, so about as fast as most of your party.
Yep.
Got a pretty good stat line, but kind of low for the fiends that we're kind of reviewing. So strength 18, dex 15, con 18, int 11, wiz 12, and charisma 14. So strong and tough, but actually not so kind of clever or canny. The charisma modifier is obviously valuable for it being scary. Saving throws, con, wiz, and charisma. It is proficient in all three of those. So it has a +7 to con, a +4 to wisdom, and a +5 to charisma saving throws. Damage resistances, everything we've come to expect from devils at this stage. Cold, bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing from non-magical attacks, not made with silvered weapons. Mm-hmm. So either silver or magic, otherwise your weapon will deal half damage. And they are immune to both fire and poison. And also they're immune to the poison condition, because what isn't? Senses, they have dark vision out to 120 feet and passive perception of 11, which is just their wisdom modifier, so they're not trained. Languages, infernal and telepathy out to 120 feet, which means they can speak with anything which they can touch with their telepathy. And this is a challenge 8 creature, which means it's worth 3,900 experience points.
Oof. You can do a lot with that, I think. I actually have no idea, because I don't know how the experience points progression goes. So, never mind.
The main thing about experience points progression, Mikey, is that you divide the experience points by the number of party members.
Really?
Yes. So everyone gets a share. And there's even a rule that says that everyone who helps gets a share, so that if the party bring in NPCs, they also get a share of the XP.
Interesting. Because whenever I did like experience points progression, like in early when I first started playing 5th edition, I think I did like that. No, I didn't. I did it with experience points, but I didn't divide it out.
Yeah.
So, but I didn't feel like people were leveling up that too fast. You know, kind of get me?
Yeah, I think it would depend on how many fights you got into as well, and like loads of other stuff. But you're supposed to divide it by the number of allied combatants. So the party and any of their followers all get experience points, which I kind of like as an elegant way of allowing the party to bring NPCs with them to the fight. And then kind of the payment they make, as well as whatever deal they have to make in narratively to get this NPC to help them. They also pay with experience so that their leveling is slowed down. I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah. Or do it like a JRPG that only the members who are in the fight, and you have to like swap out, members if you want them to get a bit of experience points.
Swap out from where?
I have no idea. Or like get an XP share in the later Pokemon games.
Yeah. Put his hat on.
So,
okay, cool. Yeah.
Devil's Sight. Magical darkness does not impede the devil's dark vision. Is that on everything? Yeah, pretty much everything except for...
Every devil has Devil's Sight.
Yeah, except for our next one that we'll talk about next week, which is kind of funny, but we'll talk about it when the time comes. And magic resistance, the devil has advantage on saving throws against spells and other magical effects. So, there we go, another devil staple. But here's the good bits. Multi-attack. The devil has 2 attacks with its chains. It has a chain weapon. Melee weapon attack, +8 to hit, reach 10 feet, 1 target, hit 11, 2d6 plus 4 slashing damage. And with that, the target is grappled, escape DC 14. If the devil isn't already grappling a creature, it's grappled if it isn't already grappling a creature, sorry about that. Until the grapple ends, the target is restrained and takes 7 2d6 piercing damage at the start of each of its turns. So basically, pretty cool stuff. He can attack you with its chain, and he can grapple you with the chain. So that's cool stuff. And animate chains. Recharge after a short or long rest.
Which obviously the Chain Devil's going to have lots of when you're fighting it. So that's
So it just pretty much gets to do this once.
Basically
in your encounter with it. Up to 4 chains the devil can see within 60 feet of it magically sprout razor-edge barbs and animate under devil's control, provided that the chains aren't being worn or carried. Each animated chain is an object with AC 20 hit points, resistance to piercing damage, and immunity to psychic and thunder damage. When the devil uses multi-attack on its turn, it can use each animated chain to make one additional chain attack.
Yeah.
The animated chain can grapple one creature of its own, but can't make attacks while grappling. An animated chain reverts to its inanimate state, which is reduced to 0 hit points, or if the devil is incapacitated or dies. So, wow, that is just extra attacks.
Reaction, unnerving mask. So this is its hellish gaze that was described before. When a creature the devil can see starts its turn within 60 feet of the devil can create the illusion that it looks like one of the creature's departed loved ones or bitter enemies. You gotta pick one, mate. If the creature can see the devil, it must succeed on a DC 14 wisdom saving throw or be frightened until the end of its turn.
That's kind of funny.
It doesn't stipulate that like you have to have loved ones or bitter enemies, so it works on everyone. Like, you know, presumably it even works on like other devils.
Yeah.
So like, I guess the idea is that maybe just for other devils, you just get scary. And
I'm your mum.
It's me, your mum. You're going to be late for school. No. You have to sit the English leaving cert again.
No. Please, no. I already did that.
The second paper. The one about poetry, I think.
I forgot there was multiple papers. Crap.
Yeah, man.
I don't have to worry about exams anymore.
You don't?
Screw that. I'm an adult. But yeah, that's kind of cool though. Like that would be a kind of funny and also just unnerving moment, but kind of fun for role playing wise, where you're just fighting this guy and you get to like, it's your father now. Like, what? That's weird. That's stat block. So Daniel, how does the stat block look to you? Let's put it underneath the telescope and just have a quick
underneath the telescope.
Underneath the telescope. Underneath the, what's the smaller one?
Microscope.
That's actually, yeah, there you go. Micro and scope makes sense.
Because it's for looking at something that's small, whereas the telescope is for looking at something that's far away.
Yeah, so I'm going to put it underneath the telescope, and
that does explain why it's so difficult.
Yeah, it's pretty difficult. I can't even bring the telescope down that way. So I'm going to throw the telescope away and take out the microscope. Hopefully that'll work a bit better. Okay. So, how does the block look?
I think, honestly, my very first instinct is for a challenge 8 monster. It has very few hit points.
Oh, wow, it does, yeah.
It has like 83?
85.
Sorry, 85. And just to compare that to the previous page, the Bone Devil is 1 challenge higher and has 140, so has an extra 60 hit points.
Yeah. But I'll just say this, that it has potentially, it can make a lot of attacks.
Yes, it can make potentially up to 6 attacks, and those attacks also include a grapple, and the grapple also deals damage.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of potential damage in the fight. And there's also the unique reaction, although that's kind of weird because it's a unique reaction, but it uses up the devil's reaction, so they can't make opportunity attacks if they use that. So from that point of view, that's also kind of an interesting concern, that like if it does this, it like the party can escape it without consequence, basically.
Yeah.
And then there's the question of whether its reaction, like whether the the animated chains also get reactions. I don't actually know if there is an answer.
Well, what reactions could it take?
As in, like if the animated chains would get attacks of opportunity on their own, or whether they can only act on the devil's turn, because they are animated, but I don't know.
It's an object with 20 AC.
Yeah, it's still an object, so I think it doesn't do anything except for attack as part of the devil's chain attack.
Yeah.
So overall, I think it's I really like the Chain Devil. I think it's a really cool, evocative monster. That has a really unique gimmick for fighting with. But I do also think that given its high challenge, it has relatively few hit points.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about level 8 party. That's like I don't know. I can really see them blitzing through those hit points in like 2 rounds, probably, assuming they get all their hits on. And like realistically, it doesn't have that much AC. It's got like things are going to hit it. Its real strength is that it's basically really hard to affect with magic, because it has magic resistance and good saving throws. So between those two things, your spellcasters are going to have a harder time hurting it. But like a fighter with a magic weapon, or like flipping a paladin is going to like mince this thing.
Exactly, yeah. And 16 AC is like it really is just nude.
And like for a level 8 party, if they're, I would assume if they are being sent to fight devils, that the DM has given them access to magic weapons, or has given them access to spells that let them create magic weapons, like the magic weapon or elemental weapon spells, and that would mean they'd be able to hurt these things. Obviously, as always, we say this every time we talk about creatures like this, if the party don't have non-magic weapons, it effectively has double the hit points, which is 160, which is okay. And in fairness, I think at that stage it's not a bad boss fight, which is interesting. Maybe you're supposed to reliably have the party not have access to magic weapons when they fight a chain devil.
Yeah, but that's also kind of strange. Like it's challenge rating 8, and there's no like little asterisk next to it, but don't have magical weapons.
There's no
that's kind of
I mean, this is like certainly the case with a few things where it's like it's sort of up to your interpretation. But I would imagine, I would say, assuming you're running if you're using the adventures that the wizards release, for example, by level 8, they'll probably have all have +1 weapons. One of them will probably even have a +2 or better. What is it, in Horde of the Dragon Queen, you get sentient weapon. I'm pretty sure you get that before level 8. Is it Hazaron?
Yeah, but that's at the end.
Is that at the end? And you're level 9 at the end? Okay, so that's pretty close. And then I don't know what else you get in Horde of the Dragon Queen, because I wasn't present for most of our campaign. So you'd know better than I would. Yeah. But around level 8, do you think most people had magic items?
Well, that's the thing, because I don't think there's a whole lot in... There wasn't a whole lot in Horde of the Dragon Queen, actually. Magical weapons. There was... I don't remember anyway. I think it was just our DM, Steven, he just kind of gave a bit out. But I don't remember, because I was a wizard for Horde of the Dragon Queen, so I don't remember too much, but I don't think we had too much around level... But we did definitely have some at the end of it, or at level 8. You're right. So... I really can't remember. It was a while back.
Yeah, and I mean, the last campaign I ran where the players were level 8, which was Quest Boys, that game ended at level 8, and you guys had, almost all of you had a magic weapon of some kind. They weren't all necessarily +1 weapons.
Yeah, but it was a magical weapon.
But you all had something magic anyway.
Let's play the music right now, and we'll go straight into it, because it seems like we're verging on the edge of Desert Town and Stat Block Town.
Oh, that's certainly true. Yeah, we've entered this sort of tricky border space. We've navigated the layers of Dinner Town and Desertville.
Yeah, we went through the what's in Pokemon, like one of the caves they have to go through to get to another town. We navigated the Mount Moon of this. There we go. Flawless. Absolutely flawless, Mikey.
Mount Meatball.
Yes.
Can't believe you don't remember Mount Moon. I'm so surprised.
Well, I remember Mount Moon, but I just don't remember it being you have to get through it. But yeah, I think you did.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's between it's between Pewter City and Cerulean City, isn't it? And there's a Pokemon Center outside it, which is dead handy.
Yeah, I remember it now. There we go. Excellent. Good stuff. Good game, Pokemon.
Yeah, it is.
But the Chain Devil, we kind of basically talked about going one-on-one with it in the Matrix room. Did we?
Yeah. I think we summarized our thoughts really. I don't have much else to say. I think the Chain Devil is an interesting creature because, like a lot of my favorite creatures in the Monster Manual, its stat block is relatively straightforward, but it's got some toys to play with. So obviously, in the case of the Chain Devil, it's this thing can animate chains and make them really dangerous. So your battlefield should probably use that. That's the obvious thing. And I think the only other thing I would say other than that is that it's, for a Challenge 8 monster, I think it has relatively few hit points, and I don't think that's a problem. But I do think that means that the fight will be over quickly. So if you have a cool idea, about what the Chain Devil should do in a fight with the players, make sure it can do it in about 2 rounds. Because if it can't, it's not going to do it.
I can picture a really fun just encounter for maybe a little bit lower than level 8 for your party. But, just this thing, it animates a bunch of chains and you are being grappled, but it'll be a fun moment if the players realize, like, wait, these are just chains, let's just break them, and there'll be less attacks, and that will, like, help out your encounter a bit. And that can kind of add to the, Zelda boss-esque, like, oh, we have to, like, solve this, and then now we can beat it up,
Yeah.
And you destroy some chains, and now it has less attacks, it's weak, beat them up. And that'll be pretty fun. That'll be pretty cool. Maybe have him in a room. Have him in one of his torture chambers or something. Even though that will be in the Nine Hells, I don't know what you're doing in the Nine Hells, but maybe it's in a torture chamber in the mortal realm.
What are you doing in the Nine Hells?
What are you doing there? Get out of there. But maybe it's it. Maybe somehow it's like in a mortal plane torture chamber, and there's a bunch of chains around, and he animates those. That'll be kind of a fun moment. I actually used a chain devil before, but I didn't actually say it was the devil. I said it was because I just needed an encounter. It was just a guy with chain powers.
You encounter a nude man covered in chains. We leave. We just leave. Like, I just say, no thanks, man. Have a good night. And I leave. And that's the end of the encounter.
And I don't remember it, but I think he was on the side with one of the baddies, and he just used these chain powers. I don't think I got a chance to use the animated chains, but he used the chains though.
Yeah.
And I don't think I used a chance to use the honorary mask either. So yeah, make sure you use all the cool stuff at the start before the players kill him, because I didn't get really a chance to use the cool stuff.
I used a chain devil in a game I ran last Christmas. I ran a game all about saving Christmas for my players.
Oh yeah,
and there were 5 because the spirit of Christmas basically had been captured by Tiamat. There were 5 elemental mini dungeons, one for each of Tiamat's heads.
Yeah.
And because Tiamat is a sort of allied with fiends, it had assigned like fiendish wardens to each of its like dungeon wings to guard the 5 keys to hold the spirit of Christmas. And the ice dungeon, the ice battlefield, the ice boss battlefield was this big amphitheater, I think. And it was like this big icy amphitheater with and the ground was like, sheet ice. So it was really slippery. And there was these massive ice pillars, and the bad guys were like kind of archers up on the pillars and skeletons, and a chain devil on a big chariot. And the chariot was covered in chains so that it could bring its animated chains with it when it attacked.
Oh yeah, I remember that now.
And then when they grabbed you, it would drag you behind the chariot and pull you around the battlefield.
Oh yeah, okay, I remember this now, because we did that all in one day, so like we went through a lot of rooms.
We didn't just do that all in one day. We did that all in like the guts of like a 7-hour game session that went on until like 2 a.m. or something.
Yeah, it was very fun. It was very good. But you're like, it's a Christmas one shot. We just want to make sure we get it all done today. So
yeah. So that's when I used the chain devil, and I really liked the idea. I really liked the idea of it having the animated chains on a chariot, so that it could bring them with it when it attacked you, and even so that like it could disembark from the chariot and fight someone, and the chariot can continue to fight somewhere else. So yeah, that's when I used them. I think its 82 hit points were a problem. I'm pretty sure that it died very quickly.
85 hit points, Daniel.
Sorry, 85. I don't know why I keep thinking 83. So I think it's 85. Hit points were a problem, and I think it died pretty quickly. And if I recall correctly, you guys then took its chariot and used it to fight the skeletons, while other members of the party went and dealt with the archers.
Did we do that?
That's what I recall.
Okay.
I certainly recall someone using the chariot at one stage.
Okay. Once again, hard to remember, but it sounds right. I do remember the chariot, and I remember a chain devil now. So
there might have been more than one chariot, and it might have been that you guys competed with the chariots. I think there was also skeletons on chariots.
Yeah.
It's all in my notes somewhere, but I can't recall off the top of my head because, as you say, lots of details. But I do remember specifically that I came up with the idea of the kind of chain devil with chains on its chariots as part of this kind of amphitheater, like, racing fight, because I thought it'd be really cool.
Okay, awesome. How else would you use them though? Let's go through a bit more and counter ideas?
So I think if we're still working on the basis that it's on its own, something that I thought of that's kind of interesting is there's no size restriction on the chains they can take control of. So, for example, if it's a naval battle, they could take control of the anchor chains of ships.
Ooh, yeah, that'd be cool.
So then you could have this like massive ship get attacked by a chain devil, and the chain devil animates the chains and has them help it tear the ship apart. Maybe as it's hunting the party through the ship, like they have a piece of treasure that the chain devil wants. And so it's kind of basically said, well, I can't drown and you guys can, so I'm going to just have this, ship break itself to bits and chase you through whatever's left of it.
Yeah.
So it's almost like this slasher movie where like it's following them down these like dark corridors and like cutting through like all the sailors, because like they're just dudes, and it's like able to do like whatever, like the guts of 13 damage each attack. So like it's like, nah, this guy's dead.
Yeah. We had, when I was in the Bearded Devil episode with myself and Tim, we were talking about the Bearded Devil being like a devil pirate captain, Devil Beard. And now that I think about it, there would be this really fun moment where you sail up to Devil Beard's Devil Beard, we'll call him that, pirate ship, and one of the crewmates is a chain devil because he has a devil pirate crew, which is so funny now that I say that out loud. But it's a devil pirate crew, and I can picture this iconic moment of the chain devil just using one of its using an anime chain move to like bring down the anchor, lift it up, and just slice your boat in half, and then you're like, what the heck's happening? You have to hop on their boat and beat them up and stuff. But that would be very cool.
Yeah. It says up to 4 chains, and it says they have to be within 60 feet, and it says they can't be being worn or carried. So they can't, unfortunately, animate chains that the players have on them, which is a real missed opportunity in my opinion.
I'd say if he is using an anchor like the way you said it, Dan, with like a big old anchor, I'd say probably make that into like I know the chain's already 2d6, but maybe make it a bit stronger just because it's a great weapon, kinda.
Yeah. I might sort of just go like so like when you have a weapon that's for a larger category, like if say for example if a giant uses a longsword is normally a d8. If a giant has a giant longsword, it's 2d8.
Yeah.
So you just add another dice. So I'm just saying the same rule applies of like, depending on how big the chain is, I'll just add more d6s.
Yeah.
So like if it's a chain from a ship, I might say like, well, that's pretty big, like maybe 3d6 or 4d6. And then if it was something bigger than that, I might go like, ooh, wow, like maybe even 5d6.
Yeah, that'll be a lot of d6s.
Also, the chains don't have to be metal, which is kind of cool. Like imagine animating like stone chains or stuff like that, like like sculpted chains that are part of a building.
Oh yeah.
And it's able to like bring them to life. Because it just says up to 4 chains, like doesn't specify what material they have to make. They could even be glass or something. That could be cool.
Yeah, that'd be very cool. When do you see glass chains though?
Well, like sculptures and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's true. In a room full of sculptures, like an art gallery, or
get like really abstract and say like it says up to 4 chains, but like devils aren't of this world, so it just needs to see a chain. So like it's even able to animate like a drawing of a chain and bring it to life and have it like leap out of the painting and attack players and stuff like that.
That's cool too. Yeah.
So like they're in this like they're just like there's this picture of like whatever, like maybe there's a painting of a saint defeating a chain devil or whatever, and then another chain devil shows up and they're able to use the chains from that painting to attack the party.
Yeah, that would be cool. I can also picture him as like, it says it's like a jailer or torturer. I picture like kind of like a beast master as well, where he kind of keeps these beasts in chains, and then when you fight with it, it would like just one by one release them of the chains, and then you have like different, like let's say like name like a big monstrous like beast kind of creature.
I don't know, like a dinosaur?
Yeah, like a dinosaur, exactly. Yeah, imagine if you just had a dinosaur and stuff like that. You had like a T-Rex chained down, or like on its neck, big chain, and he just like releases it, and the dinosaur runs at you, and you're like, let's defeat that devil before he releases all the dinosaurs at us, or just let's just fight all these dinosaurs at us. But
don't you dare release all those dinosaurs at me, man. I'll fucking kick your ass, I swear to God.
How dare you release dinosaurs at me?
Listen, do you know who I am?
Do you know who I'm the 14th of the noble bloodline of whatever. Eat dinosaur.
I'll kick your fucking ass. I'll kick your stupid dinosaur ass. Yeah, I mean, like, even just to play on that idea, like, you could have it be that it's a Beastmaster, but a hellish Beastmaster. So, like, he has, like, you know, hellhounds on leashes.
Yeah.
And then, like, the cool part is that you can then have the Chain Devil release the hounds, and then animate the chains on the hounds' necks to attack you.
Ooh, that'll be good, yeah.
So now it has like moving sources of more attacks. So you have to keep in mind, like, and the cool part of that is, right, like, you have to keep in mind that the Hellhound is able to move around and attack you, and the Chain Devil is able to move around and attack you. But also, after you beat the Hellhound, the chain is still on its neck. So like, it keeps attacking even if you kill the Hellhound, the chain is still there.
Yeah. Maybe also go with the Kratos angle that you can move around using the chain and like grab onto things above and stuff. Yeah, basically like a climb speed. Maybe.
Yeah. I really like that idea that he has a climb speed because of all the chains. That's really cool.
Maybe like after he uses animate chains, or
oh, that's cool. Yeah,
he can start climbing around.
Like, he animates chains in the arena, and then he's able to use them as extra mobility.
Yeah,
that's very cool. I like that a lot.
And then maybe you're fighting around just like a room full of chains, the chain room. Look,
that would actually be a really cool preface to the whole thing we described before. So that, like, the Chain Devil animates the anchor chain and has it attack your ship, and then runs along it to attack you.
Yes.
So like, it's both a boarding action and an attack on the ship. Like, that'd be really cool.
Yeah, that would be very cool.
In terms of like different kinds of arenas. I'm imagining kind of like a butcher house where there's loads of chains coming from the ceiling, so that, like, when they grapple you, they pull you up, rather than just sort of you hang, like, and so, like, and maybe you have to rely on that for, like, something, like, you have to cross a certain, like, you can only, maybe you have to, like, cross something that's, like, I don't know, a river of blood or something like that, and then you have to use the chains, and then you have to be careful they don't grab you as you're crossing them or whatever.
Yeah.
Or the opposite, that the chains are coming up from, like, through a great floor, and you have to, like, literally the floor is made of lava sort of rules of, like, you can't stand on the ground or you'll get grabbed.
Yeah, exactly. Because I feel like this Chain Devil, just by looking at the block, it's asking you to mess around with the arena of fighting than actually using him as itself, if you can kind of get me.
I absolutely agree. It's a sort of environmental encounter where the battlefield is part of the fight, and the players have to keep it in mind.
Yeah.
Generally, that sort of fight plays best if the party have something to do other than fight the Chain Devil. Mm-hmm. If there's some other objective you can kind of create on the battlefield.
Yeah.
One of the things I found recently that's actually really helpful is that, like, there's the idea that a battle with more than one objective is more interesting, right? Like, rather than both sides simply having the objective of survive, that either side has a different objective or an additional objective, and that immediately complicates the fight. And something I realized is that, like, it can be difficult to give the players an extra objective, and, like, for how important you see it and how important they see it, like, lining up properly, like, they can overvalue or undervalue it. But something you can do, and you know exactly how valuable it is to actually give the monsters a secondary objective. Yeah. Because you're in control of them at all times. Like, if, for example, let's say you're fighting in a room and the Chain Devil is in the middle of a ritual to summon more devils.
Yeah.
And so it needs to move to different parts of the room and, like, you know, as an action, chant something and maybe, like, pour some, you know, blood it's collected from earlier victims over, like, a symbol. And it has to do this as the party are, like, fighting it. So that, like, it has another objective, and that's the reason it sort of needs the chains to, like, keep them busy. As it sort of fulfills this, you know, whatever, like, 4-turn clock of, like, if the Chain Devil finishes, then it gets to, like, portal in something really dangerous, and now you should probably just leave.
Yeah. That's a very cool way of doing it. And a simple way as well, just a very simple classic narrative kind of thing that you'd see in adventure films, is maybe you have a NPC friend or 3 of them hanging on a chain, and there's a time limit of the chain going down into, like, lava or something, and you're like, we got to help them. Or maybe if the players don't actually like them, maybe it's like, as you said, a ritual where we have to kill, like, the Chain Devil's like, I need to get blood from these things, or not blood, or kill them anyway somehow.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do it this way, in this very theatrical way of dropping them down into lava very slowly, you know. There's a bunch of ways you can do that. That's a very cool idea, Dan.
Yeah, like I'm immediately thinking how like a good, fight for a chain devil would be like a chain devil in a large chamber with a small number, like, some number of chains. I like the idea that maybe they're different. Like we bring in all the ideas we have. So like it has one big stone chain and it uses that to help it move across the battlefield. And then it has like 3 more chains that it just uses to attack the party. And then it has a few followers, like lesser devils, or maybe even like human cultists. And their job is just to get in the party's way and stop the party from preventing the chain devil from fulfilling this ritual. And so in some ways you can kind of you can do this nice thing where, like, the chain devil is challenge 8. And you can give him a couple of extra bad guys against a lower level party, because you're like, well, the chain devil is actually not going to be attacking the party for the first like 4 rounds if they can help it, because they have this other objective. So like the party basically get 4 free turns against this dude. So in that case, I can kind of up the challenge of the fight, knowing that like they actually won't take a lot of damage, because the chain devil, the one who would be doing damage, is like busy with other stuff.
Is there anything we can do with the unnerving gaze, or unnerving mask? Anything to be said about that? Or
I think this is something I mentioned before with the Bone Devil, but I think it's still something we could use. And again, the like sort of the lore of the Bone Devil says it's a taskmaster and a jailer, and it uses its unnerving gaze against other devils. So like how the Bone Devil is like a leader of other devils, if this chain devil is supposed to be controlling lesser devils below it, then maybe it's worth saying that like it can also use the unnerving mask against another creature, an allied creature. Like maybe just say, if the creature is a devil, instead blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
So maybe instead of getting frightened, they maybe to keep in line with the idea of them being frightened, it can use its reaction, and the other devil moves moves, but has to move further away from the chain devil. So like it has to kind of flee them, but it also is getting closer to the like enemy of the chain devil, which is normally the party.
Yeah.
So like, maybe something as simple as that, just let it use this power for like kind of almost give it a little bit of a support ability, so that it can also interact with other creatures, like friendly creatures.
Yeah. It's that's cool. It's a reaction though. It's kind of a funny reaction. Never really see reactions like that, but
it's an interesting reaction because it's a reaction, but the trigger is like another creature starting its turn.
Yeah.
So it's almost a legendary action in some ways.
Yeah, I get you.
In like it just gives the chain devil another opportunity to do something. So yeah, it is an interesting ability. But yeah, it's cool. It's very straightforward. I think, to be honest, if I was running the chain devil, a lot of the time I would find it difficult to use the unnerving mask if I thought the chain devil would be able to opportunity attack instead, because its opportunity attack has 10 feet range, because its weapons have a 10-foot range. So like, in terms of, it's very easy for it to like catch a party member as they try to run away, and I feel like that's more valuable maybe tactically, but also it feels more like what the chain devil would do. And I feel like it would maybe only frighten something if there was a very good reason to do so. Like maybe if the party were speaking and they said like, like we're going to do this, and maybe the chain devil was like, or maybe like, if we go back to that previous idea, if we're saying like the chain devil has another objective, and so it's trying to complete this ritual, and it sees one of the party members are about to intervene, and it uses unnerving mask to like shut that party member down, like make them run away.
Monster Hunter this monster?
Yeah, man.
Chains. All right. I'm thinking like an armor of chains. It's this armor. It's made up of like, part of it's made up of chains anyway, and you can use a lesser version of the animate chains, or either chain attack. Actually, chain attack would be cool, where you can just either instead of attacking with a weapon, you can throw a chain at it, attack him, and you can grapple with that.
Yeah,
as just one attack. It's the kind of the first thing I see from this guy. Either an armor of chains, or like a gauntlet of chains, or just a chain devil's chain.
I think another cool one would be a veil, like the veil the chain devil has, and that would give you perhaps the unnerving mask feature, but might also give you like advantage against saving throws to become frightened.
Yeah.
So it also has like a defensive benefit.
Yeah. Anything else we can do with the chains? Because he is just chains. He doesn't have anywhere to part. He's just a nude man with chains.
Just beds.
Yeah, just beds.
Just beds.
There's a shop near where Daniel used to live called Just Beds.
And it's called Just Beds. And for as long as I have known you, Mikey, we've had the joke of you go in there and just ask for anything else.
Yeah.
Like, do couches? Just beds.
All right. Can I anything to drink? Just Beds. And I just point at the sign.
Yeah, they just good times.
Yeah.
Just to call back to something you mentioned before, Mikey, you could also have like the chains be used as a grappling hook.
Yeah.
Like you have them over your wrist, and you can like launch them out to like grab things and help you cross over distances. And another cool thing would be like a cloak that gives you like the ability to sort of shield yourself, and maybe even like in the vein of kind of grabbing and pulling things, maybe like it can grab things but only to pull you towards them, so like it can help you retreat by like grabbing a pillar behind you and pulling you backwards very suddenly.
Yeah, that's very cool.
You're suddenly out of range of an attack because it like tugs you away as someone like swings in with a sword or whatever.
Yeah.
I really like the idea of them like being used to like link people in some way, but I don't know exactly how it would work. Maybe it would be something like you each take one chain from the Chain Devil and you wear them on like two characters wear one each on different arms, and they can use them to like pull each other towards each other.
That'd be cool. Or like something like a two-side chain that you can throw at enemies, and you can have them be kind of stuck to each other, but kind of
that'd be cool.
Very close to each other, where they can't split up. They have to be clustered, so you can kind of wail on them a lot easier.
Yeah, that would be cool, actually. Yeah,
like you got two devils in the who are trying to split up and like attack you from like try and pincer you, but you throw this at them, connect them together. The chains kind of shrink.
Yeah, exactly. Like bind them up and pull them together, like the like Batman gadgets.
Exactly. Yeah, or even just like maybe the Chain Devil chains are kind of like almost like sentient chains in a way, but you can use them to just be strong chains to like keep an NPC prisoner instead of like using a dexterity check. You just throw these chains on them and they like tie him up automatically, and it's just like a magical binding device.
Like just like kind of exactly, like a really simple, just like we know they're safe. Actually, in that vein, it would be cool if, for example, you said like, because they're Chain Devil's chains and they're supposed to be like trap people in hell, you could just say like when you put them on someone they can't teleport.
Yeah,
which would be like a really cool thing for like the players to have when they're like fighting high level characters. Like if they want to capture someone and they're worried about them being like teleported away, it's just like if you put this on a creature, it can't be teleported.
Yeah. Anything you think about doing with chains, just do it with this guy.
He's very one note, but it's a good note.
Yeah. Like as you mentioned before, Dan, and I think I mentioned in another episode that I like a monster. It's just he does one thing and that's it, because that's all you're ever going to be doing. It's like the basilisk. It's just a monster that can petrify you, and that's it.
Exactly. It does exactly one thing, and the party fight it and go, oh, it does this, and you're like, yes.
Yes.
And then they like try to figure out some way to like deal with it, and like that's the entire encounter is like that. And obviously like there are times where that's not appropriate, like boss fights or whatever.
Yeah.
And maybe that means the Chain Devil isn't a good boss fight on their own, but I do think they're a great encounter just as part of a dungeon or as part of a series of challenges.
Yeah.
Because they have this very straightforward ability. They basically, like, all they do is really just melee attack people and occasionally frighten them. So they're very straightforward to deal with. But they feel cool and they feel dangerous because they can potentially do a lot of damage. And, like, if they ever hit you, they also grapple you. And, like, that's dangerous, especially against a party member who doesn't have that much health. So, yeah.
Yeah. And also gives you, as a DM, to just kind of think outside the box a bit and say, like, okay, can animate chains. How can I make this interesting with him animating chains, Yeah, that's really it. Any final notes on the Chain Devil we can say before we wrap up?
It would be really cool if there was like chains on like pillars or something else, or like like hanging on the wall, and there were like levers or other like mechanisms in the room that controlled the things the chains were tied to, so that like the goons of the Chain Devil could like move them around to like move the chains as they attack the party.
Yeah. That's cool.
Like it could be kind of like maybe it could be like a kind of a sort of a puzzly encounter where like maybe the chains are rogue and they always attack the closest thing, so you can try to push them close to the enemy so that they attack the enemy instead of you and stuff like that.
Smack it around, yeah. And maybe like if it's like a jailer, it has like a key or something, and like the key, it's over there on the desk, and then the chains just kind of grab it.
Oh, that's a great idea. Yeah, like that. There's an item on it that's just the key that unlocks, like that just like puts all of its chains to sleep or whatever. Basically,
and then you
that'd be great, especially because it would let the rogue pickpocket someone during a fight at a higher level. That'd be really cool.
And if you had that key, then it just kind of like you I don't know. I can picture like a key that you would put in, you would unlock it, and then you pull down a lever, and maybe like a wall pops down, or like the chains just kind of like unravel back into like a mechanism it was connected to already, and it's like locked in something. If you kind of picture me what I'm saying, it's kind of like a
no, not even slightly.
Okay, it's like, do you know what a Hoover with the plug, and you can take it out, and there's a button,
and then you press the thing, and
it goes back in. I can picture kind of like a bit more of a hellish D&D style version of that, but when it goes back in, a little wall comes down, and then it can't go back out again.
Right.
Very high concept. I'm sorry, but
extraordinarily so.
But that's how maybe I would picture it. But whatever.
I was thinking more just like the Chain Devil has a key, and the key means that you can like automatically succeed at any attempts to escape the chain's grapple.
That would be easier.
So that like your party can escape the chains during the fight.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll be.
That's good too, though.
That's okay, man.
The Hoover rule, that's also good. I like that. The sort of the room that's a big Hoover.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's a big like not the end of the Hoover that sucks things up, the other end that plugs in.
That's
this room.
Yeah, it's a Hoover rule parentheses, but not the actual Hoover part, but the part where the plug is. But it's kind of like the plug, but it's actually a chain instead of a plug.
Yeah.
Think about it in the D&D style, closed parentheses.
Exactly. Close parentheses. Yeah, it's for your Hoover themed dungeon.
Yeah, but once again,
there's another part of the dungeon that's called Hoover Room brackets. Yes, the part of the Hoover you expect.
Okay, all right. Let's finish this up.
Yeah. If you've enjoyed this, you can let us know by commenting below or subscribing to this podcast on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, or anywhere else. We've got an RSS feed on our site, which is creatureclubpodcast.com. You can also use that to subscribe to the podcast. You'll get a little alert whenever we release a new episode. You can also follow us on Twitter at creatureclubpod, or you can email us creatureclubpodcast@gmail.com. You can get in touch not just about the episode, but also to let us know about any homebrews you have. We're always looking for homebrews, monsters, spells, character classes, anything you can imagine. We want it, and we want to talk about it. We've already done 2 homebrew specials all about the monsters our listeners have sent us, and they're both very good. And when we make them, we also make a little PDF handout that you can keep and use whenever you want to run these monsters in your game. Anything else?
Yeah, we have a bunch of homebrew monsters. I think enough for another episode, but we're always looking for more.
Oh, we do, yeah.
I'd say episode 3 will be out. It's not will be out. We haven't done it yet, but we'll probably do it sometime soon. I think that's what I hope. But send us more for an episode 4 and more episodes to come. We got a Twitter at Creature Club Pod. That you can follow. Did you say that already, Daniel? I don't feel like you didn't say it. You did. So Creature Club Pod. Anyway,
it doesn't matter. It's been said twice. We definitely have a Twitter now.
Yeah, follow us at that, because it'll be good to talk to you. And
it's actually the easiest way to get in touch with us, because we're all on Twitter fairly regularly. Yeah. So like if you comment there, we'll see it within a few days, definitely.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's at Creature Club Pod. So follow us there. And that seems to be it. I think so.
Do you remember how to end a podcast, Mikey?
Nah. See ya. Thank you for listening, Creature Club guys. Next episode will be another something. I have been Mikey.
And I've been Dan.
Stay cool.
Nah.
Nah. Oh, here's a good one. Here's a good one. Stay cool. Psych. Got him.
Oh, God.
I'm so sorry to our listeners about that.
want to do a fresh take altogether?
Train devils to suggest
The Human Torch took out a bank loan.
Blah, 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 blah. Yow, yow, yow. Why
I
I'm
watched
blue,
pot never
dabba dee,
boils.
dabba die,
A
dabba dee.
watchpot never boils.
A watch pot never boils.
A watchpot
There-
never boils.
There has been stories of pots.
That have been watched for ages. And it is said that they have never boiled.
A watch pot never boils. Chucky,
Never boiled.
Chucky, Brickies.
Best thing about a Dutch finger, it's for sharing.
It's for sharing. Get in the
Oh,
kiln.
so good.
Don't get in the kiln.
Don't get in the kiln. All right.